I often say that hurt people. We've all heard that phrase before, but I also know that healed people heal people. I've had a couple of experiences in my life that I want to share with you. Years ago, when I was in my former career, I worked with someone who I made a conscious decision to exclude from a long-term project that we were working on. This individual was about to go out on maternity leave, and I followed the instruction of another person, someone who was senior to me, who I thought cared about people and had the best interest of people at heart. I'm not sure that was true based on some other things that I experienced with him. He may have been driven by self over team, and that may have been what I was experiencing with him. Regardless of that, I was the one who followed through with what he told me to do. I called her up one day and told her that she wasn't going to be part of the team because she was about to go out on maternity leave. She took what I had to say to her with grace because that's who she is, but I know that I must have caused her pain with those words. She was about to experience something joyous, maybe one of the most joyous times in her life, and I did something that hurt her. I don't think that I was doing it from my own place of hurt. I was following what another person told me to do, but nonetheless, I hurt her, and I know I did. Years later, I had an opportunity to own my behavior, take accountability and responsibility for what I had done, and to say to her, hey, I know it was wrong and I'm deeply sorry for those actions and I regret them. And that was the truth. I've always regretted that. I think about it from time to time, and it is one of my biggest lessons in my behavior with my adamant support for diversity and inclusion. Luckily for me, because this person is who she is, she welcomed me back with open arms, and we have been able to continue our friendship. I consider that to be a great blessing and something very fortunate for me. More recently, in fact, in the last couple of days, I've had the opportunity to go back even further in time and give my apology for something that I did that has been simmering for probably 35 years now, even though I'm not sure I recognized how much it might have been sitting there until the events of the last day or so. When I was in college, I was living for a period of time in an apartment with one of my pledge sisters. If you've had the opportunity to pledge a fraternity or sorority, you know that the people who are in your particular pledge class or your recruitment class, I think is what we call it now, they are your ride or die kind of people. I don't know what possessed me to do what I did, but one weekend while my good friend, my pledge sister, my roommate was at home visiting her family, I decided that I was going to move out. No advance warning. We didn't talk about it. I didn't tell her I was doing it. She literally came home from the weekend, walked into the apartment, and everything that I owned was gone. Me moving out and her coming back to that was hurtful and painful enough, but I know that I also impacted her family and disrupted their planning, their finances. Paying for college is not cheap. Getting through it is not cheap for any of us. And I know that me not carrying my weight on the monthly bills was disruptive to her family. So it wasn't only my friend that I hurt, but it was also those people who were closest to her and trying to help her get through college who I also hurt. I went on about my business and never addressed the issue while we were still in college. It was one of those things that sat there as the ugly elephant whenever she and I would be in the same room. And of course, it created distance between us. I never did anything about fixing that at the time. I just went on with my life, honestly, in a way that probably said to her, I don't care. That was wrong. Everything I did was wrong because there was absolutely no reason for me to do what I did. Of course, we leave college, we go on our merry ways. We've stayed tangentially connected through social media over time, and I've followed what she was doing, but we've never had an opportunity to reconnect. In recent months, I hope to have the opportunity to be able to look her in the eye and apologize directly but that had not happened. Well, a couple of days ago, she sent me a message telling me she had read my book and that she was sorry for what I had experienced in my life with trauma and abuse and my survivorship. When I got that message, my heart leapt and I was like, oh, God's now giving me the opportunity to be able to do something that I should have done a long time ago. And that was taking accountability and responsibility for my actions and apologizing to her. And so I did. I did my very best to write the most genuine apology that I could over a written message. It made me emotional. I'm a little bit emotional now thinking about it, but I said to her that I was sorry for what I had done and I knew that I had caused great pain and great disruption, not only to her, but also to her family. What really struck me is that 35 years later, this was something that was still sitting with her. She told me that it had sat with her over time, but she understood, given my history, I might have been a hurt person hurting someone. It doesn't excuse it, it doesn't make it right. And I owed her an apology a long time ago, and this is far too long to have let that sit. But I also recognize now that because I'm healed, I can look back on my life and see these things I've done that have brought me shame and guilt that I've carried with me for a long time. It's time to shed them, and I've done that. And I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity to make amends. It feels good to be a healed person who, by owning my behavior and telling her I recognize what I did, maybe I've healed her just a little bit and maybe she'll be able to completely let go. I hope that for her, anyhow. A couple of great examples of a hurt person hurting people, but a healed person doing my part to heal two people who I have hurt in the past. If what I'm saying to you is striking a chord, it's resonating. If you know there are people in your past who you have hurt, you do have the opportunity as someone who's healed or healing to offer that healing back to them by apologizing. My invitation for you today is to do that if you need to.